How beautiful it looks. We are driving to Nagaur for the Pushkar Festival. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. It's a beautiful hotel and could not be at a more perfect location. I'm sorry to have to check out. Look at this.
Good morning, namaste.
Namaste.
Slept well?
Yes.
Yes. Everybody is happy, healthy,
Happy and happy.
fine, fit? Good. So now we are heading to our special adventure, Nagaur, N-A-G-A-U-R, Nagaur, where we have the festival. It's not exactly a festival, it is actually a livestock fair where animals are sold and purchased by the farmers. You will see nothing is urbanized there. Everything is very, very rural. You have already got the idea of rural India yesterday, and I could see your involvement there, the way you have enjoyed, and then the way you discussed last night in our party. So I was like really happy. So this is an addition to that. So, and I'm very happy to go there, but at the same time I'm very sad to say that we people, or maybe maximum my kids for next few years, these are the last generations who are going to see these livestock fairs. They're reducing by every passing year they're reducing. Like in Pushkar fair, we only had 25% of the horses that we used to see a couple of years ago.
Oh.
So it is getting smaller and smaller. But whenever somebody like you is taking a tour for these things, it is a boost for these things. Like Pushkar fair. Pushkar fair attracts hundreds of thousands of tourists. Foreign. Domestic are like in addition. We get all those tourists and they come to see these, participate into these fairs. And this certainly helps the economy also, the local economy I think. So Pushkar fair is going good, but that selling and purchase of the animals is going down. Nice light on the left, a little bit misty. Mansagar Lake, Jal Mahal, 1799. Now look at these hills. We are going to go at the other side of the hills now. Eastern side of the hills is very green because we have the ravines of river Chambal, Yamuna river. Do you know Yamuna? On the banks of Yamuna, Taj Mahal is built. So we have a bit of a greenery this side, but the moment we are on the other side of the hills, it starts to get brown because we enter into desert. So this mountain range, what you see here, these hills are part of a mountain range called Aravali, A-R-A-V-A-L-I, Aravali mountain range. And Aravali mountain range is one of the most, it's like not one of the, it's the most ancient mountain range in the world today. Most ancient mountain range in the world today. And see, the shape of Rajasthan is like a kite. And this mountain range bisects Rajasthan diagonally. It starts in northeast, finishes down in south. So whatever is on the eastern side is like quite fertile, rivers. Whatever is on the left, it's all desert. This mountain range is 802 kilometers, and out of that 692 kilometers it goes through Rajasthan. And this mountain range has really turned out to be a source of economy, lifeline for the people of Rajasthan. Mainly it's a like agrarian society, but people used to mine a lot. It has some tremendous deposits of different kinds of minerals. I'm going to name you a few. Remember, Taj Mahal is white. That white marble came from this mountain range. So it has marble in 6 colors: white, yellow, pink, green, grey, and so these are like 6 colors we have. A part of this we have granite, we have feldspar, quartz, snow quartz and white quartz, snow quartz and pink quartz. Then we have gypsum, we have zinc, and as an addition, as an extract of zinc, we also get some silver. Then we have mica. Mica we have here, and 2 precious, semi-precious stones. We have emeralds which is precious, and 2 semi-precious are garnets and aquamarine. But you can just imagine that how rich this mountain range is. And for all these years, this mountain range has really served as a lifeline for the people of Rajasthan. So we are going to go through this, and maybe at some point I'll be able to show you some of the queries on the way. Yeah.
How tall is the mountain range?
The highest point, the question is how tall is this mountain range? 692 kilometers it is in length, and the highest point, we are only at 373 meters. We here. But the summit of this mountain range is 1,724 meters, which is in south of Rajasthan, a place called Mount Abu. And Mount Abu right now is very, very cold. So 1,724 meters from sea level. That is the highest. It is not like as formidable as the Himalayas, but still in a desert state, 1724 is quite high. Yeah. So a few minutes, you can just take in whatever you see here. Once we are touching the highway, I'm going to take a very interesting subject today. I've got my maps with me, and today I want to talk about a subject which might sound bizarre for you, but we are emotional fools. We are emotional Indians, and we call it that way. We don't call India as just India. We call it Mother India. We have 4 mothers in India. First, our biological mother, the one who has given birth to us. Second, the land where we are born, Mother India. Third, cow the mother. It has been scientifically proved that the cow's mother is perhaps the best milk after mother's milk for the infants. And then the fourth is Ganga Maya, Ganges the mother. River Ganges, life giver. So these are the 4 mothers we have, and today in detail I'm going to talk about Mother India and bit of the history of India, which is quite interesting subject. I will try not to make it boring. I'll try to make it interactive and also interesting. Those milk farmers are still sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
Look at these, so many people, they are buying milk. All those canisters are the milk canisters full of milk. These are the farmers, bring the milk from nearby villages. Look at the camel coming, camel cart in front. We are going to the land of camels anyway this afternoon. Lots of camels we are going to see. Right in the front, look at this archway, and look at the scaffolding. This is the same traditional old bamboo scaffolding still in use. Now on your right hand side, even on this facade on the right, bamboo scaffolding.
They're cleaning the buildings?
Yeah, they're cleaning the buildings. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to see on the right hand side, look at this structure with the green curtains here, with the scaffolding. This was the first movie theatre of Jaipur. Originally it was a drama theatre, then it was turned into a movie theatre by that king who looked like John Lennon. 1876.
Pretty old movies.
Steve was very happy to see him. Team Becky has just asked me that if anybody at any moment feels car sick and wants to sit in the front seat. Oh, that's between you and her. Coming up, 1 o'clock right now. Palace of Wind, Hawa Mahal. On to your right. Look at the flower sellers. These are the people selling flowers, loose flowers and garlands to be offered in the temples.
Can you tell us about the trees?
This is a banyan tree.
I know, but are they replanting it?
No, they are just saving it. They are expanding this metro system here,
okay.
but they don't want to cut the tree. So they've chopped it, but it will like sprout again. All the 4 of those flowers. Have you noticed that most of the time you have seen marigold flowers?
Yeah.
why marigold flowers are offered in the temples? Because of its color. Because of its color. Because it has the color of fire. And fire is considered as the biggest witness for anything. They say if you take a vow over fire, it comes true. That's why the marriages, arranged marriages, are like done over fire. 7 times bride and groom, they go around fire, taking vows for their new life. Another thing, sadhu. Have you heard this term? Sadhu. S-A-D-H-U. I told you about guru in Delhi. Guru means the teacher, the one who takes you from the darkness of ignorance to the knowledge of light. Light of knowledge, I'm sorry. Okay, so he is a guru, he's a teacher. And here, sadhu is a person who has renounced the world in search of knowledge, who has renounced the materialistic world. He is renounced from all the attachments and all the desires of the world. And he leaves his house in search of knowledge. They also wear saffron colored clothes, because saffron is a color we Hindus believe. Hinduism is not a religion. It's been an experience, it's a way of life which got developed over thousands of years. And we have believed that saffron color is a color which attracts intellect. It attracts knowledge. That's why we wear saffron and we offer saffron in the temples. We only have one line of metro right now in Jaipur. This is an expansion in the old city, a huge project. Delhi Metro got started in 2001, and very proud to say that Delhi Metro is the only rail-based metro system in the world which was credited with carbon credits for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and it is reducing pollution by 600,000 tons per year.
It's amazing.
Ajay, when you say metro, do you mean like a subway underground?
Yes, subway. Yeah, but our subway is not entirely underground. In a city like Delhi, you cannot take the city and do it. So 65% of the metro is above the ground and 35% is under the ground in Delhi.
How much does it cost?
I'll come back to it. Look at this temple right in the middle of the street. Look at this temple right in the middle of the road, right in front.
Wow.
This temple is older than this city, and we Hindus don't believe in destroying our religious places, and nobody is bothered to remove these. Traffic is growing, cars, buses are growing, but the temples are still there. See this little one, another one, right in front. So I was asked how much is the metro ride. It starts from 30 rupees, 30, and it is up to 100, 150, 180. For the express line from city center to airport, it is 180, which is like $2.50, $3.
Non-work day though, the weekends?
No, we are having working days. These are work days. Only Sunday is a holiday here. Delhi is Saturday, Sunday holiday. Asked me about a church yesterday. Are there churches? You can see a church on the right, 2 o'clock. यहाँ से wrong side लो. यहाँ पे चलते रहो, सीधे चलो. जाएगी.
Really so nice.
ऐसे लोगों को तो ऊपर चढ़ा देनी चाहिए गाड़ी को. देखो पता नहीं किसको अपने.
But all their, all their things work. It's all.
Are we ready to talk? Should we talk a little bit? Yeah. Okay. India. First of all, where did we get this name from? India is a name, there are two sources for this. We call it came from Indica. Indica was a book written by Megasthenes, who was a scribe who came along with Alexander the Great in 3rd century BC. And why did he call it Indica? Because they crossed the river Indus and they call this Indica. The land by the Indus is Indica. And that's how we got to this name. And then when British and other foreign powers, European powers came, we came to the name India. Otherwise, this country was called Bharat. B-H-A-R-A-T. Bharat. Bharat is the name given. Bharat is the name of this country, which is like for so many years after one of the great kings of India called Bharat. B-H-A-R-A-T. Today, 7th largest country area-wise, 2nd most populous country in the world. 3.3 million square kilometers. 3.3 million square kilometers and 1.31 billion people. You come from America. We are in India. When we compare it with America, we are 1/3 the size of America. America is like 9.8 million square kilometers. And we are like 4 times the population. 1/3 the land and 4 times the population. So one thing I want you to nail in your minds right away, that concept of space between India and America is world apart. If you are in the market areas, people might come by you, they brush by your shoulders, back. It is absolutely fine. We don't consider it wrong because that's how we have grown up. Like sometimes I'm giving a talk to my group and people walk in the middle. Indians, my fellow countrymen. I don't mind it because they think that empty space is a violation of space. So we always like space is always occupied. So if people are like brushing you, your shoulders, your back, it is just fine. But we know that if somebody is doing it with a bad intent, we have the 6th sense and we can get to know about that. So concept of my space between India and America is world apart. You can see the Kashmir over here. Kashmir, everybody knows because we are having some problems with Pakistan over this piece of land. The crown part of India is Kashmir. Punjab, we talked about Punjab yesterday. Most of the migrants in countries like America, England, Canada, Australia are from this area. Punjabi people. Punjab was much bigger. Haryana, what you see today, Delhi, what you see today, Sindh, what you see today, Lahore, what you see today was all Punjab. But after the partition of India, half of Punjab went in Pakistan and we were left with half. And it further got split into 3. Even Himachal was part of Punjab. So it is in 4 states now. That led the way for Rajasthan to become the largest state. Rajasthan is here. We are inside. We are in this land. And right now we are going to Nagaur. Nagaur is here. Gujarat, one of the fastest growing state in India. Modi, Prime Minister of India, he comes from this state. Calcutta is here. West Bengal, Calcutta. Chennai, Kerala, Mumbai, Bollywood is here. Then some of the neighboring countries, Nepal, you see Bhutan here. And between Bhutan and Nepal is a little bit of India. Sikkim, we have Bangladesh, which was originally called East Pakistan just after the partition of India. Then India got it free from Pakistan in 1971 and they started to call it Bangladesh. Bangladesh was part of Bengal originally. You see Myanmar here, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and the friendliest nation any country can have Pakistan. Friendliest nation to India. See, the beauty lies in the eyes of beholder.
Yes.
If I treat them as friends, maybe one day we'll be friends. Pakistan looks at us with the eyes of hatred, ignoring the fact that they were part of India at one point of time. We have 2 sets of islands. We have 2 sets of islands. One is here, Lakshadweep, Coral Islands. And then you have Andaman Nicobar Islands, which is separate from the Indonesian archipelago in Andaman Nicobar. This is over here.
That's part of India.
That's part of India. Maldives, you can see here. Do you know that there was a secret naval base, American secret naval base called Diego Garcia? Anybody knows about that? It was not revealed to the world, but for a long time, America had their secret naval base in Indian subcontinent. This was leased to them by the British, so that if there is a war situation or something, they can use it. But now it is known to the world, but still America is using it. It is on a 99 years of lease, and it is somewhere here in the Indian Ocean. Diego Garcia. Now that is still owned by America. The island is owned by the British, but America is on a 99 years of lease over there. If Third World War happens, this is going to be the most crucial place from where America is going to be taking care, like controlling the Asia. We are very happy to be friends with them. That's why we are not objecting to it, and it is still part of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me talk how different and how similar we are. If you look at the Indians, our facial features are very different. If you look at the people in Kashmir, you will be surprised to know that their features are like very sharp. They are as fair as you are. And you can easily get confused. These are some Europeans or Westerners. Very fair, tall. So this is the land from where they come. This middle area, people have a complexion slightly fairer than me. We call it wheatish. Wheat, the grain, wheatish complexion we call it. And if you come down here, people are dark like the Africans, very dark. So this is how the skin color differs. And this side, the whole of this belt, we call it Seven Sisters. There are 7 states like Meghalaya, Assam, Arunachal, Nagaland, Manipur, and all these states. We call it 7 Sisters. And you can easily confuse, they are more Asians like Chinese or Japanese. They come from this area. But one of the most weird combination we also have people with blonde hair and dusky skin. Blonde hair and dusky skin. They are like very dark and hair blonde. So it's a very different combination. So that's how like we have people from all different features. Next thing, how similar and how different we are in terms of languages. Hindi is the national language of India. Hindi is the national language of India, and English is the lingua franca which connects east from west and north from south. But if we talk about the official languages in India, we have 22 official languages, we have 200 regional languages, and we have 1,652 dialects in practice. I repeat again, 22 official languages, 200 regional languages, and 1,652 dialects. That's how, and we call it unity in diversity. I would like to give you a very interesting example of this. I wanted to learn French. Before starting my career in tourism, for a little while I worked with Indian television, national television, and I also worked with a French drama company, French theatre company called Caravan Theatre. So I had to learn French for that. So I did my crash course here in Jaipur and Delhi, and then I went to Pondicherry. Pondicherry is here. I went to Pondicherry to learn French because we still have the French effect there. It was a French colony. French were here in that time. So when I went to Pondicherry, what I figured out that this is in Tamil Nadu. The state is called Tamil Nadu, and everybody there was speaking Tamil. For me, Tamil, I cannot say even yes or no in Tamil. And those Tamilians were not good at all in Hindi, even in English. So I was like stranded. And I was trying to say, I want to go to, but then I said, I want to learn French. Somebody understood, and he said, French colony, that side. So Pondicherry is basically divided into 2 halves, the black town and the white town. Black town is all the Tamils, and the white town is all the French. So I figured out where to go, which way to go, and I was in the French town. Now, there were hardly any people, and I was not able to find my institute. If I'm speaking Hindi, they said no, like just by the gestures. English, no. If they speak Tamil, no for me, from my side. And I was nervous. Then a lady came, she was actually ironing the clothes in one of the areas under a tree. There was a table, and she was ironing the clothes of the neighborhood. She said, she called me. I said, who are you? I don't know what she said. I said, French. I said, French Institute. Then she said, tu parles français? And my countryman, my Indian countryman was speaking to me. She tried to speak in Hindi and English. I'm sorry, Tamil and in Tamil I could not. I tried to speak English and Hindi. I could not. And then she, tu parles français? I said, oui, je parle français. An Indian talking to an Indian in a foreign language in my country. That's different. That different we are. Then she said, qu'est-ce que tu veux? What do you want? I said, je cherche Alliance Française. Yeah, I'm looking for Alliance Française. And then see, vous allez tout droit, tournez à gauche, et là, il y a le grand bâtiment, and I was there. So that different we are. I was talking to my own countrymen in French. That is one of the most hilarious incidents ever happened with me. When I narrated that to my parents, they could not believe it. I said, my boy, what would you have done if you were not speaking French there? So that's how it happened. And so now Indian Parliament is like a mini United Nations. We have 543 members representing all different parts. Somebody is coming from here talking Assamese, some Meghalaya, Manipuri, Gujarati, Maharashtra, Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, and Himachali, Kashmiri. But when we go there, we have that, what do you call it, that headphone system. So you speak in any language and they will get the translated version. And that's how we have 543 members on the same page with the help of those headphones. India is perhaps the only country in the world when on 15th of August, Independence Day, and 26th of January, Republican Day, when the President and the Prime Minister of the country are addressing the country, 70% of his subjects, 70% of his population do not understand what he's talking. They only get to the translated version next morning in the newspaper.
Oh my goodness.
That different we are. And we call it unity in diversity. So India has some natural boundaries. Indians have always lived, I'm very proud to share this with you, my team. India and Australia are the two countries in the world who never ever attacked any other country in the history. India and Australia. The rest, everybody is involved in some sort of attacks or things. India and Australia. So, what I mean to say, what did stop us doing that? We always lived in our shell. We have some natural boundaries, and those natural boundaries are sanctified, and it is believed that if we cross that natural boundaries, something bad will come to us. So Indians were not doing. Only people from the coastal areas and some other areas, they started to travel to other countries. So what are those natural boundaries? We have a very formidable mountain range, Himalayas over here. Himalayas, Mount Everest in Nepal is 8,848 meters from sea level. That is the summit. So this mountain range, it is mainly here in this area. Here, it starts to get down, and as it goes in Afghanistan, there are lower hills, and the same thing happens as it comes in Bangladesh. So we are protected by this mountain range, and that is why we do not have a direct access to Silk Route, but we go through Khyber Pass or we go through the desert. This is the mountain range. The Indian highest mountain range is like here, K2. Have you heard about K2?
Yes.
K2 is here, 8,611. And Kanchenjunga is somewhere here, 8,598 meters. So these are the top three peaks. Kanchenjunga, Mount Everest, and K2. Khyber Pass is over here. This side, we have the formidable, very, very big, vast, hostile, arid Thar desert. So this is another natural boundary. And further we have River Indus. This side we have Arabian Sea and we have Bay of Bengal. So we are covered from all the sides. And that's how we never tend to cross these boundaries, as these are sanctified, and we believe that crossing these boundaries would bring us bad luck. But as a matter of historical fact, we had connections with the Mesopotamian civilization, trading relations. We sent our emissaries up to Greece in 3rd century BC. but that was much later. To begin with, it was not like that. Apart of this, I want to drill into a very interesting geological history of India. Now, what is geological history? This might really amaze you. India originally was the upper triangle. The lower triangle that you see, this was basically part of Africa. Now I'm talking about 6 million years ago, when world was a one landmass, Pangea. And due to the movement in the tectonic plates, Pangea started to split up. And a huge big chunk, it separated from the part what is Africa now, and it started to travel towards east. In the middle, on the way before coming to India, it further got split up, and Madagascar, what you see, it was formed there. Then it continued flowing here, and it got stuck here. And then it got joined with the land here. Over the 6 million years I'm talking about, and we can still see there are still movements in the tectonic plates, and we can feel those tremors in Mariana Trench and offshore California. So those movements are still here, and because of those movements, those what you call the vibrations, when there is a hit from that tectonic plate, there is some sort of land starts to come up somewhere, and because of that, Himalaya is still growing. Every time there is a hit, Himalaya grows, and Himalaya is the fastest growing mountain range in the world, which is growing at a rate of almost an inch per year. Himalaya is 29,029 feet right now. If you come back in let's say 12 years of time, it will be 29,030 feet. So it is still growing, and it is the fastest growing mountain range that we have here. Now geologists, they did some study here, and they say that there is no difference, there is no similarity between they did some rock studies and soil studies. So the rock and soil in this area is completely different from the lower part. This is totally different. This is made out of volcanic lava and ash, something like in Africa. Interesting similarities. Whatever I am talking, how do I corroborate that? There are some similarities between Africa and India. Flora and fauna. Look at these trees, those trees. These in the middle of this fields. These are acacia. You see acacias in Africa.
Yeah.
And out of the 17 varieties of acacia which are available in Africa, we have 7 here in India exactly the same. 7 or 8. That is the one similarity. Second, and a bigger similarity. You see elephants in Africa, we have elephants here in India. But elephants in India evolved in a different climatic condition. That's why their shape actually became a little different from the African one. African ones are still very big, and Indian elephants are a little smaller. Indian elephants could be tamed, but there they are in wild. But because they evolved in different manner. And the bigger similarity, India, bigger cats. We talk about tigers. Have you ever heard about lions in India? Lions are associated with Africa. We have lions in India. This is the area where we have the Gir forest, and in the Gir forest we still have around 200 plus lions, and we call them now Asiatic lions, but actually these are the same lions that you see in Africa. These are some interesting similarities. They grow cotton there. We grow a lot of cotton in this entire belt. We grow a lot of cotton, So these are some of the interesting similarities that we have. Now I would like to tell you about the landscape. Himalayan mountain range, very big, very high. Here is the desert. But there is something we have in the central India which is known as, have you heard of something called Indo-Gangetic floodplains? Indo-Gangetic floodplains, which is now known as Central Indian floodplains. Indo stands here not for India but river Indus. And Ganges river, which starts from here, from the Himalayas, and through Varanasi, it goes into Bay of Bengal. The second longest river, 2,600 kilometers. And because of this, the river flows the entire year. But in the summers, what happens, when the glaciers melt from Himalayas, there lots of water comes through this area. And then there is in the monsoon, lots of water. Water level is very, very high. And when water floods in this area, this entire area, it brings a lot of silt and alluvium, and it makes this entire area very, very rich and fertile. And this is, we call it the food basket of India, because the best cropping is in India is done in this belt. We grow, what do we grow? We grow different types of lentils, coarse grains, wheat, millet, sugarcane, corn. Some of the interesting crops are sesame. Apart of that, we also grow aniseed, fennel, cumin. All those wonderful exotic crops are done here. And this is a very, very special area. Food-wise, we are very different. In this area, surprisingly, we have rice as the staple diet. In this area, millet and corn as the staple diet. This belt is bread, wheat bread is the staple diet, and here rice as the staple diet. Most of the best, yes.
Where is the tea?
Tea is here. Tea is in Darjeeling and Assam, this area. This is the area which is known for tea. Interestingly, tea was never Indian, it came from China. Tea was invented back in China in 2636 BC, and it came here through British. But now we have some tea and coffee plantations in South India also. Lots of tea has been grown here. For the best oranges, this is the area, Nagpur. For the best almonds, Kashmir. For the best guavas, the central lower Rajasthan and upper Madhya Pradesh. Sugarcane, this. Best coconuts, this is the coastal area for the best coconuts. Tea, I already told you. And the spices for what India was known as is Kerala. What are the spices there? Black pepper, cardamom, those, and cloves, cinnamon, those kind of spices are there. And let me tell you friends, black pepper became a big source of income for Indians through Silk Route, because West was asking for black pepper to preserve their meat, to preserve their food. And at one point of time, the price of black pepper has gone so high that people started to call it black gold. That came from here. They traveled all the way up, and then from here they turned into the Silk Route. That's how it went. So this is a little idea about Mother India. Was it interesting?
Very. Thank you so much.
So since you are visiting this country, you should have a little bit of idea. Now, like, we have the steel. Steel is like in this area. We have lots of coal. Energy, power. Power's main source is also coal and hydroelectric power. We have Bhutan is someone who is giving us a lot of electricity. Those who have been to Bhutan, they must be knowing about this. Now I will dwell into a bit of a history of India. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the history of India, the documented history of India, we have from 3000 BC. 3000 BC. And our source of documented history, I'm very ashamed to tell you that we Indians were so lethargic in documenting our own history that we have to look at the sources through British and the Greeks. Greeks, because when Alexander the Great came, Megasthenes, he documented a lot of things we took from there. But how did British help us in this? 1925. 1925, when the British were trying to expand their railroad network in India, they wanted to connect the railroad system in this area. And one of the British engineers, he stumbled over a mound. And he said, oh, what's that? You forget it. We don't have to dig it. Let's go further. And from that forget it attitude, they passed by 1 or 2 or 3 mounds. But what they discovered, there are mounds after mounds after mounds. And that rose a bit of a curiosity in the mind of this engineer. He said, stop this railroad work right now. Let me see what is there in these mounds. And when he excavated those mounds, what he is discovering? Indus Valley civilization. And because of those mounds, they called that area Mohenjo-daro. That means the city of mounds, city of dead mounds. So when they digged up, what they found some bricks, very uniformly shaped, square, sturdy bricks. So they got it to their geology department. They just did some checks and they said these bricks are from 2700 BC. They said, what? 2700 BC? What are these bricks doing there? And they protected the site and they started more digging. And for their surprise, here comes out one of... See, I'm having goosebumps right now to share this. They discovered the well-planned city of Indus Valley civilization with like roads very beautiful houses, not like completely ruined, but they can see these were houses. And the road system, a very well-planned road system, well-planned city was there, and that was the first grid city discovery in the world. Today, Jaipur is a grid city. New York City is the best example of the grid cities in the world today. New York, Toronto, Canberra, Adelaide, Hobart, these are grid cities. But the first grid city was getting discovered here, where the streets were 90 feet wide and cutting each other at right angles. System. Each house had a well for water. There used to be an area which was supposed to be like a granary, some storage. There was an area which was like a bath, where people can come and take bath. So that kind of development was there, and that was from 2700 BC. People might have been cremated that time. No, sorry, yeah, cremated, because they did not find many bones. They only found a few bones there. And what they found metallic statues. The dancing girl, a statue of dancing girl like this, if you see, with lots of bangles, jewelry, and they got some gold rings like the spiral rings. See how advanced those people were. Can you get advanced like that overnight? I don't think so. To get to that point of time, that level, you must have lived for at least 1,000 more years. But British doesn't say anything that 2700 BC. But I believe if that kind of advancement is there in the society, they must have lived for 1,000, 1,500 or 2,000 years. So this Indian history goes back to at least 4,000 to 4,500 years. They found some writings there. They found some writings, but unfortunately those writings could not be deciphered. So we don't know what were those writings. But we had statues like oxen, horses, a man with a beard who would have been a priest. So that kind of things were found there. So that was the discovery of Indus Valley civilization. Today we have lots of things from there in the British Museum. But see, when I talk about British Museum, what is British in that? It is all Greece, Egypt, India. But whatever. We thank you Greeks, and we thank you the British that we are able to get something in our from our history. So anthropologists, we found some bones there. So when those anthropologists, they did some checkups, they did check the DNA of those bones found. You know, what were those bones? Those people who were living in that time were the Australoids and the Negritos. Australoids, who are the aborigines of Australia, and Negritos, who are the aborigines of Africa. Exactly the same DNA was found. Australoids and Negritos. And then it continued like that, and then in 1500 BC, here comes this.
Which area?
This area. India, Dholavira, all this here in Gujarat, this belt. So 1500 BC, we have the arrival of Aryans. See, whenever I say this word Aryans, lots of eyebrows are raised. Who were these Aryans? This is the first time we have the arrival of the Aryans. And these Aryans, according to there is a lot of dispute. People have different versions. I have read at least 25 to 30 books on history. Aryans were the Caucasians who came after crossing the Caucasus Mountains. These are people from Russia, very tall, fair, and they came from that arid, hostile area, and they were looking for the greener pastures. So they crossed the Caucasus Mountains and they landed in this area, and when they continued traveling and when they came in this part of Kashmir and Punjab, lush green lawns and fields, they said, wow. And that was the first time. Now, but who gave this name Aryans? What do you mean by Aryans here? See, actually there is a term called Rayan. Rayan means the natives. I am a Rayan of India. You are a Rayan of America. But according to the Indo-European study of languages, whenever you add an A in front of a word as a prefix, the meaning is opposite. So Rayan is native, and when you say A, Aryan means not native. So we call them Aryans because not they were Aryans was some kind of what do you call the human race. It was not a race. These were Ryans. These were not the Ryans. These were people who were not native to the land, and those Indus Valley civilization people called them Aryans. Not native to the area, not native to the land. And then Those Aryans, they came here. Like if you are here, you are an Aryan. If I come to America, I'll be an Aryan. So the native is a Rayan, and Aryan is one who is not belonging to that land. So they came here. They were very powerful. Aryans came with something which the Indians have never seen. They came with two things which actually gave them an edge over these small, timid, agrarian society people, Indus Valley civilization. They came with horses. India was not knowing horses before that, which gave them the speed. And they came with iron. Iron as a metal, and they had spears and swords. And that gave them a clear edge over these small people, peace-loving people. And those people, Aryans, they started to push these Indus Valley people. And today, according to the anthropological studies, people who are in the southern part of India are basically the original Indus Valley people. They were pushed down. Those who were left here, they started to get intermingled, and then they started to have marriages. And there comes the new race, Indo-Aryans. So that word Indo-Aryans has come after the mixing of the people from Caucasian. Those Caucasians, when they got married to the Indus Valley people, the new race was started, Indo-Aryans. Are you okay? I hope I'm not boring you people.
No.
So that was 1500 BC?
1500 BC. So for 1500 BC, they continued like, they like merged with them, and they continued, and nothing happened. Only Aryans were like growing in population. And then in 7th to 8th century BC, we started to have the Maharaja states, the kingdoms that started to appear in the 7th, 8th century. But most of the civilization remained in the northern part. Then for some time nothing happened, and in 4th century BC, a very powerful ruler from the west started to come, and he entered after crossing this area, present-day Pakistan, Afghanistan. He entered here in Punjab, and he defeated the kings of India. He was Alexander the Great, 321 BC. But by the time they came here, his people started to feel homesick, and he said, I cannot go any further. And the mighty ruler who got defeated here was called Porus, P-O-R-U-S. I still remember that dialogue between Porus and Alexander. When Alexander defeated a mighty king like Porus, Porus was a very big man, and he was having those handcuffs, and he was in the, what do you call those chains?
Shackles.
Shackles. He was in the shackles. And when he was brought in front of Alexander the Great, he was a big man. And Alexander, when he saw his personality, he said, what kind of treatment should be given to you? And the reply of Porus was, a treatment what a king deserves from another king. And like he said, I like your response, remove the shackles. And remove the shackles, okay Porus, I'm going to go back. This land belongs to you. Because his people, he just left it. Because he could not convince his people to stay that far. And he went back, Alexander started to go back, and at a mere age of 29, he was able to win half of the world. And then he went back, and on the way he passed up. At the age of 29, Alexander the Great, that's why we call him great, he did so many amazing things. So India started to grow, and then in 3rd century BC, 270-71, now this is an interesting episode coming up, we had another wonderful king from India. His name was Ashoka, A-S-H-O-K-A, from this area. And he was having a frenzy to just become big, and his empire started to grow. That is the largest India we see in the Indian history. Ashokan Empire is the biggest empire, and today what we talk about Afghanistan, do you remember those Bamiyan statues of Buddha were pulled down? That was Ashokan India. That was not Afghanistan. Afghanistan was not there back then. It was Ashokan India, which was all the way up to Afghanistan and Iran and Iraq. Pakistan, everything was his part. After fighting so many battles, and to fulfill his desire of winning, he killed almost 100 of his own brothers and cousins. And then he realized, why did I do this? And what did I get after winning all this? I'm still having empty hands. I cannot lift this ground. And he was very sad of that. And he adopted Buddhism. And he said, now I'm going to spread a word of non-violence. And he traveled, and he sent his emissaries all the way up to Greece in this side. And on the left side, he went all the way to Thailand. He went to Sri Lanka. His daughter Sangamitra and his son Mahendra went all the way here. And they were spreading the word of peace through word of Buddhism. And Buddhism became so powerful that time that for some time India was declared as a Buddhist state. That is the only period we see when this was not a Hindu country. India has always been a Hindu country, but 3rd century BC, during the time of Ashoka, this became a Buddhist country. And his Buddhist sign, the emblem, 4 lions, which I show you at the Qutub Minar, that was Ashoka's sign, which I'm going to show you in Varanasi, original. That became Indian national emblem. And there was a wheel with some spokes that became the wheel of life in the national flag of India. They say there is life in movement. If it stops, it stagnates. If it is stagnant, it finishes. And that's what it is. The Indian national flag. Well, this continued like that. Again, we also had Huns, a very powerful king, Kanishka, from the Hun dynasty. He also came here and ruled for some time. But then nothing major. And from 4th century to 8th century, we had another dynasty ruled here called Gupta. Gupta. And Gupta period is said to be the golden era in Indian history, when India excelled in the fields of history, art, culture, mathematics, science, astrology, astronomy, everywhere they were on top. Zero was discovered in India. Imagine if zero was not discovered, how would we have continued with our studies? Zero is given by India. And it's a very, very important figure in mathematics today, in any kind of calculations today. That was given by India. So 4th to 8th century, India was a golden bird. And when this golden bird started to fly, people from Central Asia, when they heard about the riches of India, they said, oh, where is this wealth? What is this wealth? And they started to attack India, invade India, and then India's downfall started. That from 711, the first attack by Muhammad bin Qasim we had, and then India continuously got attacked for next 1200 years, first by the Central Asians, and then it was ruled by 6 dynasties, 6 Islamic dynasties, which I mentioned in Delhi. The first one was Mamluks, the slaves, then the Khiljis, then the Tughlaqs, then the Sayyids, then Lodhis, and then the Mughals. Coming of Mughals is also very interesting. It was in 1520s. India was still very rich. India was doing a great deal of business on the Silk Route. And Silk Route was up there, and we started to call it Spice Route, which was getting connected to the Silk Route. So Babur was a person who, now to make it easy, who was Babur? On his maternal side, his great-grandfather was called Genghis Khan. Everybody knows. And on the paternal side, one of his great-grandfathers was Timur Lane. He came from that powerful dynasty. And when he heard about those riches, he said, where is this coming from? They said, it is coming from Bharat, it is coming from Hindustan. If that land is so rich, that should belong to me. And that man from Fargana, which is in Uzbekistan, Mongolia, that area, he started to came and he landed in Punjab. This man Babur, the first king of the Mughals, he only came with 12,000 people. And that time India was ruled by a dynasty called Lodhis. And those Lodhis, how powerful, what was the comparison? 100,000 infantry, 12,000 cavalry, and more than 1,000 war elephants. What do I mean by war elephants? Elephants trained to be in the war, and those elephants were also trained to hold a sword in their trunk and to vigorously move it like this, swag it. And that means whoever comes in the connection, he gets chopped up by the sword, and even if the trunk hits, the man goes flying. So those were the war elephants. So when Lodhis heard that somebody is coming from that side, Lodhi was not bothered. Ibrahim Lodhi was the king. Then his people said, why? See, this man is very barbaric. Who is coming? He said, there is no comparison between his army and my army. I'll crush him. Let him come. Let him come more closer so that he cannot run away. See, sometimes when you are overconfident, even your power deceives you. The man with 100,000 infantry, 10,000 cavalry, 100 and 1,000 war elephants, he was overconfident. Babur came all the way to Panipat. He crossed all this area. And Babur's army, when they heard about this is a huge army we are going to attack. there was a wave of insecurity going on. But who can question Babar? And when Babar heard about this, that my people are not feeling safe, he said, I want to talk to my people. So everybody had to gather. So everybody gathered. And you know what he said? He said, 7 days from now, we are going to attack Ibrahim Lodi. So those who want to continue with me on my campaign, please come and stand on the right hand side. And those who don't want to come on this campaign, stay there. You will be chopped by this evening. Your heads will be chopped off. So nobody wanted to stay there. Everybody came on the right hand side. So he convinced. He gave the message that I'm not going back. I want to fight. And then his job was he had to keep these people engaged. So he said, now go and collect as much cattle you can. So his army was engaged in collecting cattle. Buy it, purchase it, snatch it. But I want cattle. So goats, sheep, they started to gather. 3 days of time was then around 4,000, 5,000 sheep and goats were collected. Then he said, now I want straw for them. Go and collect straw. Nobody was able to dare to ask him, what is he doing? He should be rather preparing for the battle. But he was keeping his people busy, cattle and this and that. When the other side, Ibrahim Lodi heard, he said, they are hungry people. They are just preparing for their food. He had no clue what is up. They say there are certain rules and regulation in wars and battles. Wars and battles start with the first ray of sunlight and it ends with the last ray of sunlight. But Babar said, everything is fair in love and war. And a day before, what he did, when the two armies were in front of each other, he asked his people to tie that straw on the back of all these animals, and he placed those cattle, 4,000 cattle, in between two armies. And at the night, at the stroke of midnight, when everybody was sleeping, he said, fire it and push it. He said, light the straw and push them, and people are standing with the spears and bows so that they don't come. So if they turn around, they were poking the spears. So that 4,000 burning cattle was running towards the enemy army. And when the horses and elephants saw that fire coming, those elephants turned around and they started trampling their own people in the opposite direction. And this man came with something which we never had. He came with guns and cannons. He said, bombard. One thing, horses were going opposite direction, elephants trampling their own people, and the cannonballs. And by next morning, Babar was victorious. He defeated that man in one day. And that's how Mughals came. That was the arrival of Mughals. Then these Mughals ruled here for almost 225 to 250 years. Then came the British. British ruled it for 190 years. First 100 years as East India Company. Next 90 years under the direct control of British Crown. And after that, 1947, Mahatma Gandhi, we got our independence. And 70 years after the independence, here I am standing in front of you. I hope you enjoyed that.
That went by very fast. Thank you.
Good job.
I
Just gave you a little idea about my country.
Now I have to read more.
I can't believe you remembered all that. It's so good. It was awesome.